found himself in the region of asteroids 325, 326, 37, 328, 329, and 330. So he began to visit them to find a job and educate himself. The first was inhabited by a king. The king, dressed in purple and ermine, was sitting on a very simple but majestic throne. "Ah, there's a subject," the king exclaimed when he saw the little prince. And the little prince wondered, how does he know me, since he's never seen me? He didn't know that, for kings, the world is very simplified. All people are subjects. "Come near, so I can see you better," said the king, who was very proud to finally be king of someone. The little prince looked around for a place to sit, but the planet was completely covered over by the magnificent ermine cloak. He therefore remained standing, and since he was tired, he yawned. "It is against all etiquettes to yawn in the presence of the king," the monarch said to him. "I forbid it." "I can't help myself," answered the very confused little prince. "I have had a long journey and I haven't slept." "Well then," the king said to him, "I order you to yawn. I have not seen a person yawn for years. Yawns are curiosities for me. Let's go, yawn some more. That's an order." "That intimidates me. I can't any longer," said the little prince, blushing. Replied the king. "Well then, I order you to yawn sometimes, and sometimes too." He mumbled a little and seemed vexed. For the king basically expected that his authority would be respected. He did not tolerate disobedience. He was an absolute monarch. But as he was also very good, he gave reasonable orders. "If I ordered," he often said, "if I order a general to change into a seabird, and if the general did not obey, that would not be the fault of the general, that would be my fault." "May I sit down?" the little prince asked timidly. "I order you to sit down," the king answered him, as he ceremoniously pulled back a fold of his ermine cloak. But the little prince was surprised. The planet was minuscule. What was the king able to reign over? "Sir," he said to him, "I beg your leave to ask you." "I order you to ask me," the king was quick to respond. "Sir, what do you reign over?" "Over everything," answered the king with a noble simplicity. "Over everything?" The king, with a discreet gesture, pointed to his planet, the other planets, and the stars. "Over all that?" asked the little prince. "Over all that," answered the king. For not only was he an absolute monarch, but he was also a universal monarch. and the stars obey you?" "But of course," the king said to him, "they obey right away. I don't tolerate any indiscipline." Such a power was a wonder to the little prince. If he himself had held it, he would have been able to be present, not at 44, but at 72, or even at 100, or even at 200 sunsets in the same day, without ever having to move his chair. And as he felt a little sad because of the memory of his abandoned little planet, he screwed up his courage to request a favor of the king. "I would like to see a sunset. Do me a favor. Order the sun to set." "If I order a general to fly from one flower to another in the manner of a butterfly, or to write a tragedy, or to change himself into a bird of the sea, and if the general did not carry out the order, who, between him and me, would be in the wrong?" "It would be you," the little prince said firmly. "Exactly. It is necessary to demand from each person what each person is able to give," answered the king. "Authority rests first on reason. If you order your people to go throw themselves into the sea, there would be a revolution. I have the right to demand obedience because my orders are reasonable." "Well, then, my sunset?" reminded the little prince, who never forgot a question once he had posed it. "Your sunset, you will have it. I will order it, but I will wait, per my signs of government, until the conditions are favorable." "When will that be?" the little prince asked. "Haram, haram," replied the king, who first consulted a big calendar. It will be it will be this evening, toward 7:40, and you will see how well I am obeyed." The little prince yawned. He missed his sunset. And plus, he was already getting a little bored. "I no longer have anything else to do here," he said to the king. "I am going to leave." "Don't leave," answered the king, who was so proud to have a subject. "Don't leave. I will make you a minister." "A minister of what?" Of justice." "But there's no one to judge." "You never know," the king told him. "I have not yet made a tour of my kingdom. I am very old. I don't have any space for carriage, and it tires me to walk." "Oh, but I have already seen," said the little prince, who leaned over to cast a glance at the other side of the planet. "There is no one down there either." "Then you'll judge yourself," the king replied. "That's the most difficult. It is harder to judge yourself than to judge others. If you succeed well in judging yourself, that's when you are truly wise. said the little prince, I can judge myself wherever I am. I don't need to live here. Said the king. I do believe that on my planet there is somewhere an old rat. I hear him at night. You could judge that old rat. You could condemn him to death from time to time. That way, his life would depend on your justice. But you'll pardon him each time in order to spare him. There is only one rat. I don't like to condemn to death, the little prince responded. And I really think I'm going to be going. No, said the king. But the little prince, having gotten himself ready, didn't want to hurt the old monarch. If your majesty desires to be obeyed promptly, he would be able to give me a reasonable order. He could order me, for example, to leave within the next minute. It seems to me that the conditions are favorable. The king, not having answered, the little prince hesitated at first, then, with a sign, set off. I will make you my ambassador, the king quickly cried out. He had an air of great authority. Grown-ups are really so strange, the little prince said to himself during his voyage.